Yvette Cooper sold us her story. She was going to smash the gangs. Well, we've got record numbers of people coming to the UK. Party sells a story. The problem is that the Labour Party said we're going to have a growing economy. Well, that's not a lie. We're going to smash the gangs.
It's not a lie. It's not a lie. It just hasn't happened yet. No, hang on.
Okay.
No. They say they're going to try and grow the economy. It doesn't mean that it's going to be done.
It was a budget for growth. It's clearly not a budget for growth because we're not.
And that right there is when the entire panel just about lost it. Because when your only defense is it just hasn't happened yet, you've already lost the room. This debate got heated fast. A woke activist tried desperately to defend Labour's broken promises and got steamrolled with brutal facts. If you're tired of the spin, make sure you subscribe now for the most savage political takedowns every week. It all kicked off when Storm Huntley posed a razor-sharp question to the panel.
By Storm Huntley, are they winning you over?
That's when Larry, a caller from Kent, delivered a crushing verdict on both major parties, Tory and Labour, describing the UK as a
feels at the moment like the country is both a shambles and is getting worse by the day. So Reform are a new party, so they are.
He slammed the daily arrival of illegal migrants, the strain on resources, and the hypocrisy of slashing winter fuel payments for pensioners while taxpayers foot hotel bills for asylum seekers. It set the tone. People aren't just angry, they feel abandoned. Then came the pivot. Reform Party wasn't winning votes by policy, they were winning them by being real, and that sent the Labour apologists into full-blown damage control mode. That's when it happened. As Reform support was being praised for plain speaking and cutting through the noise, the woke activist on the panel pulled the classic Labour move: deflect, distort, deny. She launched into a panicked defense of Labour's promises.
The Labour Party said we're going to have a growing economy. Well, that's not a lie. We're going to stop smash the gangs.
It's not a lie. It's not a lie. It just hasn't happened yet. No, hang on.
Okay.
No. They say they're going to try and grow the economy.
It was a budget for growth. It's clearly not a budget for growth because we're not.
You could feel the desperation in her voice. She wasn't defending a record. She was defending wishful thinking. Worse, she was insulting the intelligence of millions of struggling Brits by pretending intent is the same as results. The panel wasn't buying it. The callers weren't buying it. And the public? They've already moved on. This wasn't just about broken promises. This was about real lives being crushed by economic incompetence and ideological arrogance. Sue, a lifelong conservative voter who switched to Reform, summed it up.
Reform. Yeah, and I did. And I just think these give somebody a chance.
She wasn't buying Labour's empty words. She wanted action. Then came the most devastating truth bomb from Lowry Turner, cutting straight through the spin.
We feel poorer. If you run a pub or a restaurant, you're struggling. I run a small business. It's really difficult out there. We don't feel, particularly small business owners, that we got any help from the government. We feel that our lives have been made worse by the Labour government.
And then the knockout line, boom. No amount of deflection could undo that. No think tank statistic, no polished party line. This was the lived experience of millions. And Labour looked totally out of touch. They talked about budgets for growth while rural villages had solar farms dumped on them. They claimed progress while business owners drowned in bureaucracy. Every time the activist spoke, she dug Labour's grave deeper, trying to argue that it hasn't happened yet isn't a strategy. It's a confession. And when Turner said
Sue and I are living in a parallel universe, which is actually what it feels like to be in Britain at the moment.
It hit like a freight train. The political elite don't live in your world, but Reform voters do. Just when it couldn't get any worse for the woke defender of Labour, the conversation took a sharp turn, straight into a political earthquake. Storm asked,
Do you feel hopeful?
To which Sue, without hesitation, replied,
Reform.
Yeah, and I did.
She had voted for Reform, and she was proud of it. That's when the activist made her biggest blunder yet, trying to play moral gatekeeper.
There is, but you say give someone a chance. Who are you giving? Someone who is selling you a story that is not going to work out in your favour. And we will find out quite possibly, because as I say, it is possible that Farage becomes Prime Minister.
But instead of scaring viewers away from Reform, she exposed the real fear inside Labour, that the tide has turned, that Nigel Farage might actually win, that Reform is no longer a protest vote, it's a political revolution. And the clincher, the woke activist had.
But Yvette Cooper sold us her story. She was going to smash the gangs. Well, we've got record numbers of people coming to the UK. So every party sells us.
Just accidentally admitted Labour's truth was no different from any other political lie. In one breath, she exposed the entire facade. And in that moment, Reform didn't have to say a word. Labour had destroyed itself. And just when you thought the activist couldn't embarrass herself any further, she doubled down. Scrambling to draw a line between failure and deception, she said, "Really?"
growing.
There's a difference between intending something that doesn't happen and lying. I think that's an important.
Tell that to the pensioners freezing in winter. Tell that to business owners drowning in taxes. Tell that to families who were promised gang crackdowns and instead see record illegal migration on their TV screens every single day. Intent doesn't heat your home. Intent doesn't lower inflation. Intent doesn't stop boats. That's not a policy, that's a punchline. And while she spun her excuses, callers like Sue and guests like Lowry Turner were speaking the raw, unfiltered truth.
And yeah, I feel like Sue and I are living in a parallel universe. We feel poorer. If you run a pub or a restaurant, you're struggling. I run a small business. It's really difficult out there. We don't feel, particularly small business owners, that we got any help from the government. We feel that our lives have been made worse by the Labour government.
No spin, no slogans, just pain and betrayal. And that's what made the defense of Labour not just weak, but offensive. The activist wasn't just failing to defend Labour, she was insulting everyone who's paid the price for Labour's promises. And in doing so, she got humiliated by the facts, by the public, and by her own words. The UK is waking up. The media can't hide it. The elites can't ignore it. The lies don't land anymore. This isn't about left versus right. This is about people versus power. And reform is rising, not because they're perfect, but because they're listening. If you're fed up with the excuses and done with the lies, subscribe now. This is just the beginning.